Today we are joined by JD Young of Locked On Sharks, and we are going to talk all about Timo Meier, what the trade market looks like, and if there's anything on the Flames menu that looks remotely attractive for JD and the Sharks.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and I'm joined by a somewhat familiar face in JD Young. How are you today?
I'm doing well on my way to a nice top 5 draft pick in this year's draft. So every loss brings me one step closer to one Connor Bedard.
Yes, and you can head on over to FanDuel, who is the sponsor of today's episode, and check out, maybe place a bet on who's going to win the draft lottery for our friends, the Tank for Bedard train at FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On. So instead of offering you, I'm not going to wine and dine you here with some mediocre hockey and some pretty good prospects, but none really truly good enough for Timo Meier. But I wanted to kind of get your feel for things, and especially after the Vladimir Tarasenko trade to New York. What does Meier's contract look like? Is there any no movement clauses or any, all that jazz?
Yeah, so we'll talk with Timo Meier because he's an interesting player since he's an RFA. So again, they have control. Whoever whoever trades for the Timo Meier, or if the Sharks want to keep him, he is an RFA, so he has 1 year left of team control. The way his contract is situated, it kind of set up is the thing though is to kind of. You can give him a 1 year qualifying offer at $10 million. So if you want to just have Timo Meier for 1 year next year, it's going to cost you $10 million. Most teams, it seems like if they're going to trade for him, they're going to kind of extend, just like we saw with Bo Horvat, right?
Yeah.
Trade for the Islanders. Here's your nice 8-year extension. You're not going anywhere type of situation. So the Sharks are kind of in this game, kind of almost similar to what they were last year with Tomas Hertl, right? Where Tomas Hertl, he was a UFA after last year, but like going into it, what are the Sharks going to do with it? I think Timo Meier is probably the best player on the potentially available at the trade deadline this year. And there's a lot of teams already kind of bidding for his services. But the Sharks could also just be like, now we're going to keep him and sign him to a 1 year deal and kind of play this game all over again next year. Or they could sign him to a long-term extension, 8 years, probably looking about 9.5. I think 9 is the number where Timo Meier is looking for right now. And for a guy like Timo Meier, that feels very fair. He had 35 goals last year. He's already at 30 this year, and we're 53 games into the season. If he stays with the Sharks, he's probably going to be the 5th member of the 40-goal club for the Sharks. They've had one 50-goal scorer, and they've had 3 30-goal or 40-goal scorers. So, Timo Meier is having a very, very special season for San Jose this year, and especially on a team that is, they stink. Anyway,
yeah, so team that is San Jose.
That is San Jose. They're bad. But so Timo Meier, I mean, he's a guy who shoots a lot. He's one of the top shot attempt takers in the NHL this season. He scores. He's going to score a variety of ways. If he needs to put his head down and kind of plow to the net, he can do that. He can shoot from distance. He can snipe. He's going to help any team's power play. He scores 5-on-5. Doesn't play penalty kill, but you're not paying Timo Meier to play penalty kill. He has been, him and Erik Karlsson have been the engine of the Sharks offense this year. And while the Sharks have been bad, they actually kind of score way more goals than you'd expect. They just can't stop a nosebleed. That's been their problem this year. But any team who acquires him, he's 26 years old. He'll be 27 to start next season. Like, you're getting somebody who's in the smack dab middle of his prime. and a potential 40 goal scorer for the next couple of years. And even on a bad year, you're probably still getting 25 plus goals from Timo Meier. So it's not like you're getting this. This isn't a 1 year, like kind of one hit wonder for Timo Meier. This is a guy who you can add to a team and still be a centerpiece for your team for years to come right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sound of that, I'm sure that most listeners that are Flames fans, hopefully, I'm sure that they're like blotting their mouth from drooling because number one, tonight, or I guess last night, they played the Detroit Red Wings and had an abysmal power play performance, and that's how it's been all season. The Flames are a team that are absolutely going to take a high volume of shots. No matter where they are, it's quantity over quality. And I just, if only the Flames could get it done. But do you think that he's on the move, realistically?
I am leaning right now 60% that he gets traded, 40% that he stays. Because I mean, you could talk me both ways, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not like he is a 30-year-old guy and this is the beginning of his, like this is his absolute peak. Like we're going to see Timo Meier playing really well. And while I don't expect these Sharks to be competitive for the next couple of seasons, he can still be like a guy who can help young pieces, especially guys like Thomas Bordeleau, William Eklund. You're going to get a top 5 pick in this year's draft. Like that way you're not kind of throwing these young guys and you have into the fire and, kind of expecting it to figure things out. You can kind of ease these guys in and have NHL caliber players around, and not just NHL caliber, like good players around who can help kind of, show the ropes and make life easier for these young players. But at the same time, the Sharks are in desperate need of a complete reboot, and Timo Meier is your best realistic tradable piece. Erik Karlsson, I'm not trading Erik Karlsson.
No, I don't think the Sharks are trading Erik.
Yes, I think my conversations with you, my slight threats to you about Erik Karlsson slander finally sunk in, but that's for another podcast. But like, Timo Meier is the best player on the Sharks, not named Erik Karlsson, and he's the player you can move and get the most amount of assets for. And I mean, the Sharks are looking they want a first-round pick, and they want a grade A prospect. And I don't think that's too much to ask for a guy entering his prime who could be a 40-goal scorer for basically any team. Like he's a first-line winger for basically any team out there right now.
Yeah, and I think that he would elevate any first line out there pretty much. If not, then a solid top 6. If
Timo Meier's on your second line, you are cooking with fire, buddy.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Now, real quick before we cut to break here, but do you think things look different if Hertl got traded last year?
If Hertl got traded last year, I think Timo Meier also would have gotten traded. Now, the thing to keep in mind, right, is Doug Wilson was still running. Doug Wilson and Joe Will were running the Sharks last year. Doug Wilson stepped down due to health reasons. Mike Grier was hired this offseason to run the Sharks. And so it is a whole new front office, new coaching, new kind of everything, right? And new philosophies. We're seeing the Sharks being much more patient with their prospects, which is not something we've seen with them in previous seasons. So I think if Mike Grier was running the Sharks last year, I think he would have traded Tomas Hertl. And then that's why I lean to him kind of trading Timo Meier. I think he realizes the writing on the wall that maybe Doug Wilson was trying to kind of squeeze one more run out of this roster. But I think Mike Grier is realizing that this team is in need of some kind of young, talented prospects and the best. Yeah. And while Timo Meier could still be very, very good for a very, very long time, I don't know if he fits the long-term outlook of the Sharks right now. So,
yeah, I think that this is a situation where he would absolutely jumpstart that kind of rebuild, retool, freshening up. And we can definitely talk about that more next. But before we dive into that, I want to tell you about our friends at FanDuel. We are so excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they are the #1 sportsbook in America, and that is FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that is even better. They have so many great features that make sports betting very easy and very fun. Download FanDuel now and you can get your Super Bowl 57 no sweat first bet. So if your first bet doesn't hit, you have a chance to get $3,000 back in bonus bets. And I will probably just bet on something silly like the Gatorade color or, how long the national anthem
Heads or
will be.
tails. I do like the heads
Yeah,
or tails.
like
Yes.
nothing that's going to make I hope both teams lose, stress-free event stressful. Do you have any stake in this?
My mom is a diehard born in Philly Eagles fan,
Okay.
but I do like watching Patrick Mahomes. So yes, I am. I am just hoping for a good game. But if I had to pick two bets, I do love me a Travis Kelce touchdown and a Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown. Those are my two favorite bets. I think. Yeah.
I think that those are definitely good ones. I feel like the Travis Kelce one is an automatic lock. So we'll have to see how that goes. So you can head on over to FanDuel.com today and sign up for no sweat first bet. I always want to switch those up, but it's FanDuel.com/locked on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Locked On Flames and Locked On Sharks. You can catch us both wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, make sure you're subscribing and being nice and leaving nice reviews and comments because we support positivity here and we just want a nice, healthy environment for I feel like this is just a basic conversation. There's no arguments here. I'm not going to offer you.
Attitude.
Yeah, the internet is such a heavy place sometimes, and people take sports so seriously. Like we had a clip about head injuries and not wanting players' brains to be scrambled eggs reach the wrong side of Twitter, and it went south.
How dare you not want them to risk their lives for my entertainment?
But. Yeah, no, exactly. So we were talking about that, and it just sometimes you just have to be nice. Just spread a little positivity. Take 5 seconds to throw a 5-star review and let people know that you enjoy their show.
Yep.
But what do you think is truly going to happen? Do you think that the Sharks are going to play smart and get him out of the conference?
I think they were like the whole trading in the division and stuff like that. Like, I think it's a little bit overrated, right? Especially for a team like the Sharks, where it's not like the Sharks are competing for a playoff spot. And if the Sharks traded Timo Meier to the Flames, that is hurting the Sharks' chances of making a playoff spot. Like, if the Flames offer the best package, spoiler, they're probably not going to be able to offer the best, but we will get there in a minute. But like, if that team offers the best package, you have to take it. Your job if you're general manager Mike Grier, your job is to try to put the Sharks in the best position to succeed in the future, whether that's draft picks, whether that's prospects, whether that's young NHL caliber players, whatever you get back. And you never know with draft pick. I mean, the Sharks fans will know, right? Sharks traded Erik Karlsson, traded for Erik Karlsson from the Senators. One of those picks, a 2019, was it 2020 first round pick, we'll be fine. Sharks will be good then, right? Playoff team. That pick ended up being the third overall pick, and the Sens got Tim Stützle out of it. Like, you never know with picks and type of thing, and who knows, right? Type of thing. But again, you have to kind of play the odds of what picks and what packages are going to set my team up for future success. And I think that is Mike Grier's job right now. I think he went to the season trying to kind of give these guys one last chance of like, hey, let's see what this team can do, et cetera, et cetera. I know they traded Brett Burns the offseason, gave him a chance to try to go win a cup with Carolina. We're going to add some NHL caliber players. And, that way, again, we don't have to ask our prospects to kind of rush into this. But, this Sharks team is just not very good. And they've had terrible goaltending. And Timo Meier and Erik Karlsson have been kind of the bright spots for this team. So if you can kind of, take a Timo Meier who's having a career season and turn him into something good in the future, I think if you're Mike Grier, you have to do that.
Yeah, this could be a situation where years down the road, you're building the trade tree and how everything spiraled into one thing or another. And that's kind of the fun part of hockey, is realizing where everything came from and
Yes.
tracing it all back. But at the same time, you're like, this could be absolutely horrible to trace back. And I don't think we ever need to discuss that again.
Yes.
I think with the Tyler Seguin trade for Boston and how those 7 players that were traded for are no longer, I'm almost positive, no longer in the NHL, and he's still having fun.
Yeah, did he hit 1,000 games recently or something like that? Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, which
yeah.
Oh boy, that was a real eye opener. But do you think realistically the Sharks could bump up some of their prospects in this second half of the season?
I mean, we could see guys like William Eklund and Bordelot, who have been playing really well for the Barracuda. Bordelot was the Barracuda's representative in the AHL All-Star game. Eklund has really kind of turned it on, I think, since about Thanksgiving or so. I think he's really kind of figured out his game in the AHL. And I think he is now third in amongst AHL scorers under the age of 21. Like he's really kind of figured out his groove down there. And I think they will get NHL time this season, probably as a bit of a reward. Like, hey, you guys have been playing well. Come up, play a couple games. If you do well, we'll keep you up. If not, send you back down. You know exactly what you need to work on type of situation. But again, Mike Grier, like I said, he's been very patient. He's been trying to kind of work on this Barracuda team and get these guys to get playing meaningful playoff style hockey. And I know the Barracuda right now are kind of fighting for their playoff lives in the AHL. I think they're 7th or 8th in the Pacific. So like they're going to be fighting and they're going to be playing meaningful hockey from here on out to try to get into the playoffs. And this is a good experience for them, right? Sharks haven't been to the playoffs, and this is going to be the 4th year in a row. And it doesn't look like they're going to be making the playoffs anytime soon. So I think this is a good opportunity for some of these young guys to kind of learn on the fly and get this experience that's going to help them as they kind of move on with their hockey careers. But I do expect guys like Bordelot and Eklund to be playing in the NHL, get a couple games this year at some point. So
that's good. I mean, I think, like you said, it's good to reward them so they know that they're not banished to
yes.
the AHL. Not that, the Flames prospects have any idea what that.
I mean, I know when the prospects, they lose their names when they go up to the NHL.
Yes.
They just disappear off the back of their jerseys and such.
Yeah. So. They just turn into just, who are you? What number are you again? You might see ice time, or you might just spend the whole road trip scratched and you don't see anything.
Hey, at least you get that NHL per diem. So
yeah, exactly. Like, at least the checks are clearing, and that's really, I guess, all you can ask for when you're not really working. I guess you're watching. But I think the biggest difference between the Flames prospects and just kind of like the trade pieces that could be there for the Flames is that our prospects are old. Like you just mentioned, being a top 3 scorer under the age of 21. I'm pretty sure Matthew Phillips is like 24 years old. Like that's not a prospect anymore.
I always wonder where do you the cutoff, right? Of like, okay, this guy's a prospect and this guy, like, when is the cutoff? That's always been like my internal struggle of like, when you guys like, okay, this guy's no longer a prospect.
Yeah. Like, is it 22, 23 at the oldest? Like,
I don't know if it's games played in the NHL. Yeah, it's always been ambiguous to me because it's like some guys like, oh yeah, that guy's still a prospect, but then like some guys who've been in the NHL for forever, and it's like they're younger type of thing. But anyway,
yeah. Like I guess it just all depends on, whatever their CBA says and all that fun stuff. But, I think coming up next, I can, I'm not going to seriously offer you a trade package, but I'm going to tell you probably what some armchair GM would try to sell you here on Locked On Flames. And thank you everyone for tuning in to today's episode. And as always, remember to follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto, and you can follow JD at my fry hole. I knew.
Say that with a serious face. That's
my fry hole. I knew going into this that I was not going to be able to get you to say yes to anything unless I offered you like Dustin Wolf, who would solve all of your goaltending issues. But I'm not doing that.
That's the one, right? Because the Sharks, we'll start with Dustin Wolf, right? And again, the Sharks, they don't have that clear cut, like, this guy's gonna be a dude goaltender, and Dustin Wolf is gonna be a dude. Like, I've watched enough Barracuda. I've watched the Barracuda play the Flames enough. I've watched, of course, when the Calgary Wranglers used to be the Stockton Flames. Barracuda fans, we got a nice taste of Dustin Wolf, and Dustin Wolf is going to be a dude in the NHL. If you started with that and try to build out a package, I think we could have a conversation there. Because, like I said, the Sharks, they have some intriguing prospects, but they don't have a guy where you can be like, I can see him playing in the NHL for 10 years.
Yeah, that's very fair. I think that if Jacob Markstrom wasn't looking like the way that he is right now with 3 years left on his contract, and Dan Vladar is up at the same time, and I'm not sure about Dustin Wolf, but I would probably be more confident in offering you that, but at this very moment, no. Just because, again, the Flames have not had a solid goaltender in a very long time, and for them to have Dustin Wolf coming up, it's almost a weight off of their shoulders.
And like peaking at cap friendly, I don't know the Flames cap situation inside out, but they're kind of going to be in some cap issues here recently too. So having a guy like Dustin Wolf, who if you're maybe you offload Vladar this season, you think Wolf is ready to kind of take that. Having a guy who's making basically as cheap as you possibly can, and as you're trying to work around the fringes, like having a guy on a ELC or a small contract like that for the next few years, that's something that you have to look at team building wise. And again, if you trade for Timo Meier, are the Flames going to be able to afford to extend Timo Meier? And are you giving up a potential goaltender of the future for a 4-month rental Timo Meier right now?
Exactly, which is why, I think, especially with the Flames kind of playing that serious middle of the road hockey, I am not comfortable giving anyone a first round pick or Matthew Phillips, Connor Zary, or Pelletier. I feel like it's too much for the way the Flames are playing. If this was last year and they were playing at that high level consistently and just having an outstanding season, then I would say, hey, sure, why not? But only if that Gaudreau or Tkachuk extension got inked during the season. That's it, because you have some wiggle room there in security. But I see people talking about, we can just give them, Cole, I think it's Cole Schwinn, who came over in the Tkachuk trade. Sounds like an NPC, does not sound like a real person. And, I think it was like Adam Ruzicka or something, and that'll do it. That is not going to do it. Do you?
Especially right now, again, because like I said, who else out there? Who's the best player on the trade market right now? Like, I think it's Timo Meier. If there's plenty of other good guys out there, but you look at Daily Faceoff, Timo Meier is the number one player on their trade board.
Same with TSN.
Timo Meier is the best player out there, and it's not like it's just the Flames asking for. It's you have the Devils who can offer a ton of stuff, right? Please don't yell at me, Devils fans. You can also you look at the Hurricanes, right? The Hurricanes are in it. They have a lot of high quality prospects. They even though they draft late, they're very good at finding those diamonds in the rough, right? Yep. You look at Boston, who's a freaking juggernaut. They don't have the prospects, but they have some young guys. Maybe they're willing to give up Fabian Lysell, who's I guess their only prospect really. There's plenty of team, or a team like Detroit or the Sabres, right? The Sabres have a ton of amazing prospects. They're a team on the rise right now. maybe they look at this as more of a long-term play where Timo Meier is going to fit with their core for the next few years, and they have a bunch of guys that they can give up right now and to try to kind of accelerate their core. So that's where I think if you're a team, I mean, if the Flames want to get desperate and offer like, here's everybody, I think that's their only realistic chance of being and go all in this season to try to win a cup. And especially in a Western Conference, which is kind of weird, right? I mean, you have Seattle, you've got the Kings, the Vegas is kind of falling here recently. Colorado, it feels like we're all just waiting for Colorado to wake up at some point. I know they've been playing a little bit better, but we haven't seen like juggernaut Colorado come to life yet, and I know the Stars are playing well, Winnipeg's playing well, but it's just no team where you're just like, yeah, that's the team right now. And you could talk yourselves into a lot of teams right now.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a really good way to put it too, because, there are a considerable number of teams in the East that you're like, that
it's like, it's going to be Boston. Like it's like Boston. You could see, the Lightning have been, until the Lightning lose, you have to continue just to, Carolina is a freaking juggernaut too. Like there's a lot of teams where you can like, okay, yeah, I can see that. In the West, like you could throw a bunch of names in the hat, and I like, if the Kraken come out of the West, would you be really that surprised?
No.
The Martin Jones redemption story would be amazing.
Right? Oh my gosh. That would
but
be
like there would, like if the Kraken decide they want to go for it this year and and be bold and make a big trade or something like that, or like the Stars, they have Jason Robertson, they have a lot of veteran guys, like they have Ottinger, who almost won the series last year against the Flames. Like Ottinger is capable of stealing a series. So yeah, I mean, I think if the Flames wanted to talk themselves into it, give up the entire future. No Sutters. We know Sutter doesn't like children anyway.
You're not wrong.
And just give up their future and be like, we know we can't re-sign Timo Meier. We're going to go for it this year. We'll give up everything. Here's a first-round pick. If you want 2 or 3 of our best prospects, have at it. I mean, I think that's the only way.
I think that could be an extreme decision that does get made. I think that, it is Brad Treliving's contract year. So, and there's been rumblings of Daryl Sutter just like promoting himself back to general manager. So we'll have to see. Maybe Treliving gives it one last Hail Mary to earn that extension. But I really don't see it happening, which is why I couldn't, in good faith, come on here and be like, here is my 27-year-old prospect. He's played 900 AHL games. Like, do you want Brett Sutter? Like, do you? I don't think anyone wants him. No offense. But, thank you so much for, keeping Flames fans in the loop of what the market looks like, why realistically this cannot and will not happen for the Flames, and just being a pleasure to talk to and, providing the good insight of the AHL as well.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I mean, it was a blast as always, Jess. Jess, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Twitter on Jess Belmosto, and you can find the show at Locked On Flames wherever you listen to your podcasts, YouTube as well. Can y'all leave some 5-star ratings? Because the internet is cruel. You say one bad take and all of a sudden 1 star. So, we're just 5 stars all around for both shows. And where can my friends here at Locked On Flames find you, JD?
You can find me at My Fry Hole. You can find the show on Twitter, at Facebook, and Instagram, also at Locked On Sharks. Listen, of course, wherever you get podcasts. And you can subscribe on YouTube as well. If you're into the draft, I highly recommend. I think my draft coverage is one of the best things that I do. Right now, every week, a draft profile on heading through the draft, and as the offseason, those will get bumped up. So yes, plenty of fun stuff coming on over at Locked On Sharks. So
yes, your draft coverage and your AHL coverage is absolutely top tier, and your interviews are always great. And thank you for coming on after. Did the Sharks lose tonight?
They did. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So, thank you for giving me your time after the Sharks lost in Florida. And until next time, have a good one.